Welcome back, everyone. This weekend, Donald Trump abruptly scrapped his scheduled plans in New Jersey, rushing back to the White House. While the official channels are trying to play it cool, an unexpected return like this, canceling personal weekend plans at the last minute, typically signals one of two things: a sudden, serious medical event that they are trying to hide, or a drastic development in international military conflicts. Let's look at the facts. As reported here, the official line is that he's reviewing military options regarding Iran. But given the absolute panic we are seeing behind the scenes, you have to wonder if circumstances pertaining to government is actually a convenient cover for something much more personal and immediate.
He just scrapped his entire New Jersey weekend. Trump has canceled his weekend stay at Bedminster as he boards Air Force One for a New York event. 47 will continue working nonstop at the White House. Instead, big moves could be on the horizon. Have a safe flight. So there's the president boarding Air Force One, heading to D.C. instead of Bedminster. Senator Mike Lee sounding the alarm. Pray for President Trump. Not sure what's happening, but whatever issue brought him back to Washington must be serious. So President Trump also posting about his son's wedding. While I very much wanted to be with my son Don Jr. and the newest member of the Trump family, his soon-to-be wife Bettina, circumstances pertaining to government and my love for the United States of America do not allow me to do so. I feel it is important for me to remain in Washington, D.C. at the White House during this important period of time. Congratulations to Don and Bettina, President Donald J. Trump. So Mike Lee, though, calling for prayers over whatever just pulled Trump back. And here's the scene on the ground. Instead of following the original schedule, and this threw everybody for a loop today, the president's schedule usually is posted the night before the press gets their marching orders and waits for something to happen. We follow the schedule, and then all of a sudden the schedule completely changes. It's not unusual, but it happens. And but this is even more pressing given the circumstances with Iran and the deals that are happening. So instead of following the original schedule, chopper to Trump National in Bedminster, Trump has just stepped off Marine.
This brings us to the broader context of Trump's overall health. Recently, he has been obsessed with bringing up his own cognitive performance, repeatedly bragging about passing medical screening tests. But here's the reality. Constantly boasting about passing a basic dementia screening isn't a sign of robust mental agility. It's a massive red flag. It reflects a deep insecurity about an underlying, undeniable decline. Look at this piece from Mashable. The MOCA isn't an intelligence test. It's a basic screening for cognitive decline. When the president considers identifying an animal from a drawing to be a major intellectual victory, we have a serious problem on our hands.
I don't regret that, but that's the way the president of the United States speaks. Not because he did not receive a formal education, but because his brain isn't working. Yeah, invoking Jesus Christ a month after you depicted yourself as Jesus Christ, that's pretty bad. I'll give you that. Absolutely horrible, stupid. Also, the fact that you don't understand that California, there's way more Democrat votes than Republicans, so it's rigged. There's more Democrats than Republicans. It's like saying Alabama's rigged because Republicans always win. Where's all the Democratic votes? They don't exist. That's what happens. That's actually why there's like blue states and red states. More Democrats here, more Republicans there. That's the way the whole country is. But it's the manner of speaking, those short, incoherent, repetitive sentences, that is what everybody should be paying attention to. And I'm afraid I'm like the only one that is noticing this or talking about it or understanding, to the point that this is a big deal, because that, not the wild fantasies, the speaking itself is what shows how far gone this man's psyche, his cognitive abilities.
And it's not just his cognitive state. The physical signs are literally on display. We've all seen the recent photos showing severe discoloration and bruising on his hand. When you combine these visual reports with the panicked rhetoric from his allies, like Senator Mike Lee publicly taking to social media to ask for prayers, it feels less like standard political theater and more like a tacit admission from within the GOP that there is a serious, undisclosed health crisis. Medical experts are pointing out that these aren't just bumps and scrapes. These types of bruises are often linked to blood thinners or underlying circulatory issues. The facade of the healthiest president ever is crumbling right in front of the cameras.
On Trump's right hand were caused by excessive handshaking combined with his daily aspirin use. Then in January this year, another noticeable bruise appeared on Trump's left hand during his visit to the World Economic Forum in Davos. The president has also acknowledged taking a daily aspirin dose higher than what doctors allegedly recommended and claimed the medication causes him to bruise more easily. Still, the repeated appearance of bruising, combined with the visible makeup attempts to cover it, continues to fuel online theories surrounding Trump's health, especially as he is already scheduled for yet another medical examination, reportedly his fourth public health evaluation since returning to office in January. President Donald Trump is set to undergo yet another medical examination as fresh concerns surrounding his health continue dominating headlines online. The White House has confirmed that Trump will visit doctors at Walter Reed National Military Medical Center on May 26th, officially describing the appointment as a routine annual physical and preventative care checkup. But critics and social media users are now pointing out one major detail. This upcoming visit will reportedly mark Trump's fourth publicly announced medical evaluation since returning to office. Last April.
So, why isn't the mainstream media treating this as the 5-alarm fire it is? It comes down to corporate ownership and access journalism. They are terrified of losing their insider access. Furthermore, look at his administrative team. Figures like Pete Hegseth are pushing aggressive troop deployments, while Trump himself seems completely disconnected from the realities of these policies. The establishment media is actively covering for an administration running on autopilot.
This loss has gutted the US Air Force's active Reaper fleet down to roughly 135, well below the target of 189. Because General Atomics, the makers of these drones, closed this specific production line last year, replacing these workhorses immediately is nearly impossible. The list also includes, this is, mind-boggling. These 42 planes also includes an F-35A Lightning II damaged by Iranian ground fire. Yes, it was damaged by ground fire. This marks the first acknowledged combat-related damage to a US fifth-generation stealth fighter, challenging assumptions about its invincibility. It was supposed to be invincible, and yet Iranians pulled this off again without its air power. Iran also successfully struck infrastructure, damaging critical support assets like an E-3 Sentry AWACS, which was called Eye in the Sky, and 7K C-135 aerial refueling tankers parked at regional bases. AWACS was destroyed by Iran when the Iranian targeted a military base or US.
This disconnect trickles all the way down to Congress. Just look at the recent cancellation of the vote on the Iran War Powers Resolution. Republicans saw the writing on the wall. They were going to lose, so they completely pulled the plug to avoid the political embarrassment. It's a desperate tactical retreat. It perfectly illustrates how wealthy interests and defense contractors who benefit from global destabilization are dictating policy while a declining president acts as their rubber stamp. This report highlights exactly what they are doing. They pulled the vote simply because they didn't have the numbers. They are so desperate to protect Trump's unchecked power and the defense contractors who profit from it that they are actively subverting the democratic process.
Just suddenly canceled the War Powers Resolution vote after it apparently became clear behind the scenes that they lacked the votes to defeat the measure. Bear in mind, the Senate just took a step yesterday towards reining in Donald Trump's war powers when it comes to Iran. It's not done yet. They didn't actually vote. It's moving forward. But in this particular case, they decided we're just not going to vote. And this might remind you of something. It's the same thing that happened with the Epstein files disclosure. When Mike Johnson did the whipping or whatever, not the kind that gets his son a text message, I mean like the whipping of votes. And they realized that they didn't have the votes. He's just like, oh, we don't exist anymore. We're good for now. Let's come back in a month or whatever. So that's what they're planning to do, I guess. There were apparently, there's been a good amount of bipartisanship on a variety of different things, including the Smithsonian American Women's History Museum Act. So it's an era of Republicans working with the Democrats here. But this would have been the fourth time that Democrats would have forced a vote on ending the Iran war. And apparently the first time that it would have actually passed is now being postponed until June, which let's see. So it's 1 to 5 weeks from now. So we've got 2 to 10 cycles of we've got a deal. Oh my God, everything's gonna blow up. Everybody, the oil prices are crashing. Put stuff on the prediction market. So there's a lot more time for corruption. Don't worry about that. But let's be clear about what this is. It is utter corruption. The House of Representatives is supposed to be the most representative body. They know that this war.
Even some of the most staunch MAGA loyalists are starting to quietly step back from the madness. Lauren Boebert recently expressed reservations about prioritizing foreign adventurism over domestic concerns, showing that the cracks in the armor are getting wider. We are going to keep tracking this decline and the geopolitical mess it's creating. Despite the ongoing attempts by YouTube and corporate media to suppress this kind of independent, honest commentary, I'm committed to bringing you the truth. Hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.
I think you do kind of need it because, like, when I was talking about the Trump shooting in the not the Butler one, but the White House Correspondents' Dinner, and I think the majority of people were just like, yeah, it's fake, 100% fake. And I'm like, I don't even know if it's fake or not, but I think by the reaction of the population, that just means that nobody believes anything, nobody has any faith in their government to do the right thing. So, like, what are some things that you are personally maybe trying to do in Congress to like restore some of that trust?
Correct. So, first of all, like when you started off, you said it may have been one of the more controversial.
Sure, I remember your gun.
And that shouldn't be controversial. I mean, that's our Second Amendment right? Right. Those are basics. Those are the basics, and that's the. But even like if you look at my legislation, my bills are bipartisan. And it's not because I, go their way. I bring Democrats to my side. I work with my Democrat senators in Colorado. Just today, Tina Peters, it was announced, Tina Peters, Gold Star mom, she was our clerk in one of our counties in Colorado, stood up for election integrity. A judge gave her 9 years in jail. Big story. President Trump has been calling for her to be pardoned, but they're state charges. And I've worked with our Democrat governor to get her sentence commuted and reduce that. She's in her 70s. They gave her 9 years. And so now he just called me today and said, Tina, her sentence is being commuted. She's eligible for release June 1st. And so, I mean, there are things that I work on that are common sense with Democrats and, to regain trust.